All right, so today we're going to dive into Ethereum and also into President Trump and his whole plan of maybe how to go into NFTs, cryptocurrency as a whole. This will be a good one because I think it'll start to paint out a narrative that a lot of you are going to want to pay attention to. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, let's get into it. And there's a lot happening today. We'll have a few clips for you as well. So make sure and stick around for those. It's going to give you some narrative on not only Ethereum, but also some other projects out there that I think you'll be interested in. Before we get started, I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. If you're looking at long-term holding, iTrust is the way to go. You can get into crypto IRAs over there. You can do Ethereum, Bitcoin, get into precious metals, all sorts of things. You get to direct your own trades. All of that is available to you, no monthly fees. It's very easy to join. Just click the link down below, and you can get started. Plus, you'll get a $100 funding reward, so take a chance and go that direction. Let's go into a couple of things here I want to get into. And one of them is a report that is done. It's called the Executive Branch Personal Public Financial Disclosure Report. I'm going to zoom in on this just a little bit so we can go through some of the highlights our team was able to go through and kind of break down where President Trump is getting his investments from, where his revenue is coming from, all those kind of things. All right, so as you can see here on this first one, license agreement with Parler for the sale of NFTs, collectibles. All of this is available over on Parler. So again, 380 grand for that. Further into his investments, you've got BlackRock, McDonald's flowing into here. A lot of corporations, BlackRock, Exxon, JP Morgan, McDonald's again, Nike, Pfizer. Further into there, Starbucks, Coca-Cola, Visa, Apple, etc. And the reason I bring up some of these investments is because it starts to kind of set the narrative of where Trump, as the candidate potentially for president, is getting his income from. Of course, another area is U.S. Treasury. So he likes the dollar and obviously dividends. This is the traditional way that people with a lot of money will be able to go out and kind of generate more money. The other aspect is the fact that he is investing in this area around NFTs. And of course, all of that being driven by Ethereum. So further into his disclosures, again, more U.S. Treasury bills. And then down here, you're going to see a lot of this under his family trust. And this gets into everything from his brokerage accounts, which are his money markets, a couple of other aspects within there, including some other funds, Vanguard, SDPR, BlackRock, JP Morgan, all the way into Schwab, etc. So typical investments, nothing new here other than obviously what we had saw with the early part of that with Parler. But the other aspect is what everybody's been reporting on is this cryptocurrency wallet. And that's around 250,000 to 500,000 right now in Ethereum. So holding no other crypto asset other than ETH. And then, of course, let's see what else. Oh, last up, he gets some speaking engagements from Cardone Enterprises. Of course, we all know that. So, man, $1 million from that. That's crazy. All right, so where does this play out? Where this starts to kind of flow into, and we'll get into some clips here, is the architecture in which I think a lot of people that are very savvy are starting to understand what Ethereum may mean to an ecosystem. One of the things I want to hit on, though, of course, is Trump and his pretty much adamant statements. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and any other cryptocurrencies, which are not money. Those used highly volatile and based on air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior. This is basically his statement from many years ago, and also, that was 2019. And also, I think he's starting to maybe open up to what crypto is in general, which is just like any other business venture. It's an investment that has high risk, but also may have high rewards. I want to get into a clip here going into it and take a look. This is him on actually talking about cryptocurrencies. Let's go to that clip.
Do you ever dabble in Bitcoin or cryptos?
I don't. They may be fake. Who knows what they are?
What do you think about crypto? Because, you know, New York and Miami is really getting cryptocurrency into their financial system.
Well, I never loved it because I like to have the dollar. I think the currency should be the dollar. So I was never a big fan, but it's building up bigger and bigger, and nobody's doing anything about it. Look, I want a currency called the dollar. I think it's a very dangerous thing.
Is this crackdown on crypto good for the U.S.?
We have a currency right now, the dollar, and I'm a big fan of the dollar. I'm a big fan of our currency, and I don't want to have other currencies coming out and hurting or demeaning the dollar in any way.
All right, the interesting thing here, of course, as we all know, is the dollar is the currency. We know that. I think the key here is that how does it support activities? And it is no different if you look at what's happening with PayPal and other aspects of stablecoins. If you like the dollar, you like a stablecoin. If you like stablecoins, you're going to like Ethereum. Listen into this clip right here on Jim Cramer talking about PYUSD, obviously PayPal's stablecoin. Listen in.
But to have their stablecoin backed up by treasuries and currency and actual dollars is very big. And I say this because I've had the former head of the CFTC on twice saying that they've got to fix this. And if they do it, the stablecoin, it is terrific. But for them to be able to do a stablecoin may actually begin the discussion in Congress about how we got to start regulating it and not just having this angry match between Chairman Gensler and the industry. So I regard this as very positive. If I were doing crypto right now, I'd switch to PayPal. I'd put my money with them.
All right, so I don't know if you like that or not, crypto talk from Mr. Cramer, but the point is that all of this flows into the dollar as the support mechanism for crypto. And I think that is going to be the key here. And once Trump, I think, understands that, he'll really start to understand this opens up the opportunity for the masses to earn income, participate, get into whether you like collectability, all those kind of things that happen within this. And if you think about what Cramer just said, and I never want to agree with Jim Cramer, but the point is he is right. And it's one thing that we've talked about often around this move on PayPal is it does set the tone for DC. The other thing it sets the tone for is Ethereum. Right here, a chart just showing active users. Also with just taking up, and let me kind of zoom in on that a little bit, just 1% of PayPal money conversion. And if you've watched some of our videos, there's almost 500 million people in PayPal, on average around $500 per user. If you think about the potential here of where Ethereum could be just with 1%, up 432%. That's the kind of impact it would have on Ethereum as a whole. So again, another big push for Ethereum, and I think this is, as you guys know, we're big ETH fans. Obviously, we still like Bitcoin. Don't no hate in the comments down there. But the point is that these kinds of key moves by major corporations, especially someone like PayPal, really represent kind of the next evolution of where all this is going. I want to go to another clip here. This is talking about how Trump and the use of NFTs were highly questioned by mainstream media. Listen to what TYT had to say.
Recently, Trump released a brand new set of NFTs. They sold out.
What I see there is that a lion, which is obviously a metaphoric stand-in for climate change, is about to ravage the earth, and Trump is standing by doing nothing. It's the most honest NFT I've ever seen.
That's such a good point. But it doesn't matter. People are buying them anyway.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, if
they just want to support. I think that's what it's really about. They want to support him. I think people who bought the NFTs didn't actually buy it because they're like, "Oh, I have this digital image of Trump and I'm so special." They just want to support the guy. They love him.
All right, so I can't believe that Anna Kasparian actually understands what the NFTs are designed for. These are support mechanisms for Trump and his MAGA nation. I want to go to this next clip. This is talking a little bit further into the strategy that both Trump and Melania have been taking. Listen in.
Melania is also selling an original watercolor of the hat signed by Melania and a digital artwork of the hat known as an NFT. Before Christmas, Melania sold a digital image of her eyes for an undisclosed sum. It comes with audio of Melania.
My vision is look forward with inspiration, strength, and courage.
Melania's words, are, I hate to say this, but they're as empty as she is.
The website says an unspecified portion of the proceeds will go to a charity related to Melania's Be Best campaign.
I think it's going to be a matter of time before we start to see more candidates probably going in this direction, just because it does give some utility aspect to, the collector aspect of this, but also in support, which I think in many cases around NFTs, that's really what you're doing. If you think about creators, all those kind of things, NFTs are one of the core elements around support. Let's go into another clip here from TYT on Melania. Again, listen in.
According to Solana blockchain records, we know who bought the NFT collection, Melania Trump herself. The auction winner's address was funded with 1,800 SOL on January 25th, which came from an address, let's call it address X, that was itself funded by the address that created Melania's NFT. After the auction, the NFT creator address sent 1,800 SOL back to address X, which converted it into USDC, which is a stable coin pegged to the US dollar.
All right, so even after all that, she's doubling down further. If you look at the collection here, Man on the Moon, goes right into the 1776 collection, POTUS, American Christmas collection, the Valor Collection, National Parks, etc. So she's really all in here when it comes to NFTs. And I think, again, this gets back to smart, savvy people are starting to figure out how to utilize these tool sets, especially around kind of this next evolution of technology and where this may be playing out. Let's go to another clip real quick, and we'll kind of wrap on this section, but listen in.
The American Christmas collection features 6 ornaments. Each one is engraved with her signature and comes with an NFT, a token version as well.
Still don't get that.
And a portion of the proceeds will go to Melania's Be Best initiative, which provides scholarships to kids in foster care. It's also called
really
Fostering the Future.
Foster care, love that support. I still don't get NFTs. Are you a big NFT guy too?
I don't, but it's a
understand.
way to amplify, I think, the ability to own or have access to that. I think you just stick with the ornaments. They're really nice looking
I'll
ornaments.
buy a hard
for
or
Christmas.
a real thing you can hold.
Put it on your tree, and a portion of the money goes to a good cause.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to give gifts.
Well, I think the advantage is that Melania figured out something called utility, and that's the thing that is really going to start to make things a little different. They were referencing the Christmas star ornament here, and I think the aspect of NFTs, yes, the physical and phygital approach of this really starts to just leverage into kind of the next step in being able to support something. So it gets back into why NFTs are important for the digital economy, because it does start to create kind of this ecosystem around utility. Further into it right here, this was just Trump helping her market this, just talking about the ornaments. So clearly, they're in unison on this, lockstep on how NFTs are going to be integrated. I also want to go to another clip here real quick, and this one goes into a little bit of how that utility starts to help out. Listen into this clip.
I know you're aware of the scholarship you're receiving because of Melania Trump and the Fostering the Future initiative. She's hearing what you're saying right now. If I may, Michael, First Lady of the United States.
Hello, Michael.
Hey, Melania. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
So good to meet you. Thank you so much for your generosity.
You're very welcome, and I just wish you a great success.
All right, so again, I think these kinds of aspects, whether you think about digitizing utility and use case, NFTs will be the way that this happens. And if you believe in any of that, then the likelihood is you're going to be supporting something called Ethereum. I also want to go over to this clip on the Valor Collection. This was another collection she did. Listen in.
What's the best way you would describe it for our audience not familiar with the non-fungible token?
And it's a work of art that has meaning tied to it. It also is a work of art that has utility tied to it. So when somebody purchases this particular NFT, they're connecting themselves to a way to go beyond saying, I support our troops, to actually putting those words into action, right? So it's tied to a foundation, it makes an impact. And then also the utility part of it means they become part of a community. They become part of masterminds, question and answers. They get to join me on Discord where we get to conversate about things. So I look at an NFT as a whole package of resources.
That's a really good explanation.
Two-way.
It's a really good explanation.
All right, just remember those NFTs are actually on the Solana blockchain. So again, more expansion around some of these projects out there we talk about here on the channel all the time. If you're new to crypto, one thing I would say is, make sure and kind of dive into some of our NFT videos. We've done so many on Web3, but really kind of this evolution where NFTs are going in general. Because I think it will matter in terms of utility and also that connective point of how this moves forward in terms of building value. Another thing here, this was just a tweet here again from US Memorabilia, just talking a little bit more about the Valor Collection. But the cool thing here is, as I'll zoom in on this, you'll see they have a very significant roadmap phasing this into utility. which again gets back to the power. I think she's learned her lesson, meaning Melania learned her lesson on how to launch an NFT, building out utility, putting something worth value behind it, and then letting it go. Think of that as a creator. Creators often do that in the same way. So all that's kind of go in the right direction. All right, further else, I want to get into how creators are using it. And of course, this was Grimes. This is Elon's ex. Made more money from NFTs than from her entire music career. The artist also said she hopes that tokens and crypto can come back to help compensate digital artists. This, again, is one of the things we talk about here on the channel a lot, is that digital artists, creators, the likelihood, especially how NFTs work mechanically, the capability to pay residuals, etc., that is a big deal. And I think it also starts to create a new way in how a lot of artists and creators are going to be engaging. This goes from gaming, music, you name the artist level. A lot of this is kind of moving in that spot. All right, so just to further go into this, of course, is Raoul Pal talking about Sol, and it looks like Ethereum. So he, again, is behind these kinds of projects. We've talked about these projects many times, obviously Solana being one of the ones that we watch very closely. But listen into a clip here that's going to show you a little bit more about what Raoul is talking about. Listen in.
Also, I have explained that NFTs are a call option on ETH if they're ETH NFTs, because the price of ETH goes up and the NFT can either exceed it or mirror it or underperform it. But either way, if you get that bet right, you can actually make, so if ETH goes up 5x and your NFT doubles in ETH terms, you make 10x, right? So they're very interesting assets. So I've always said NFTs are a call option on ETH.
Are you still interested in Solana?
Yes, it's still my second largest holding. I really like it. It reminds me a lot of ETH in 2018. Tolly has proven himself to be one of the better leaders and thinkers in this space, kind of in the Vitalik mode. I think that the developer activity is great. I think on-chain activity is great. The innovation is great. So there is a probabilistic outcome that it does well.
All right, so that's, Raoul Pal. He's a big Web3, I think, proponent, but he also understands kind of the idea behind where this technology is moving, especially around the creator community. I want to go to On-Chain Summer because this is something that gets into what Coinbase is doing with Base in general, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed here. Obviously, a lot of their NFTs and minting have been going on. You can kind of see some of the collections here scanning down. And you'll notice here, well, right there's one, the Masterpiece collection by Coca-Cola. So that's another example of how a major corporation starting to benefit and also understand how to utilize this technology. If you didn't check out our Base video last week, we did a full rundown of all the projects that were happening on Coinbase. And the reason that's important is because it starts to show up in the data. So if we just go over to Dune Analytics, you'll start to see total value bridge right now. This was about half that, not 7 days ago. So you can see the accelerant that's happening. And of course, the acceleration that we've seen right there continuing to climb for both ETH, USDC, all of this geared around what Base is doing. And I think this is maybe one of the biggest events that is still not necessarily impacted the charts, because I don't know that everybody completely understands what this will mean to crypto in general. Here, of course, is transactions by the day. And you can kind of start to see here's Base starting to flip overall. So again, getting on transactions and the addresses by the day. So continuing to see a very significant amount of movement here. Here's Brian Armstrong, obviously the CEO of Coinbase. On-Chain Summer is exposing just how broken our UX. He's talking about the main Coinbase app, meaning what you use on the web, what you use on your phone. And what he's talking about is for NFTs, dApps, and L2s. Sorry to say, but he's at least admitting that, which I think that's the first step in the right direction. But Coinbase Wallet, just so if you guys are new to both Coinbase and Coinbase Wallet, Wallet is a non-custodial wallet. So you can put think of it as a software self-custody asset holder. That is just like a ledger, but it's all online. Versus Coinbase, the app, which is your trading app. What he's trying to do is maybe create these two to look and act a lot more similarly. So that because of what's happening with Base in general. Rapid updates, he goes back to the tweet here, says rapid updates in the next 2 weeks on the biggest pain points. So he does recognize that this is a problem with the UX. They're trying to fix it. That's a good thing. I think this shows great leadership on his part. He also understands what the future of Coinbase is. That's the bigger part, because Base is going to be a big part of that. Further into why this is good for Ethereum is because obviously Base built on OP, Optimism built on ETH. And you can kind of see the gas expenditures exploding here. Monthly Ethereum gas spent to settle on L2s exploding. All of this is good signs for Ethereum. But again, Ethereum may be at its most undervalued point right now. Sure, we could see some retraction in the markets, depending on how our recession comes in, if we do get one. But the key here is that there's a lot of things that are setting up right now for a very, very explosive bull run. So ETH, of course, seeing the validators here, and this, of course, is where you're going out and staking your ETH, much like what Trump is doing. He loves to see those dividends come in. This is exactly the same thing. Again, maybe that's why he's holding only Ethereum. Interesting stuff right now. I want to jump over to the Lightning Network, because this is going to get into some interesting aspect of what's going on with the Lightning Network at the same time that Base and ETH is seeing this kind of growth. Listen in for this. I want to go to the first story right here. Lightning Network capacity decreases while a number of channels are growing. And I'll show you this on the chart right here. We actually pointed this out last week when we were reporting on the Base, I think it was the Base video. But we pulled up a lot of this data around the Lightning Network in general, and we saw this massive, not only inflows now slowing, but also massive reduction in use case, so total value locked, etc. These are the things that concern me when I look at Bitcoin, especially with Lightning as being the architecture for payments underlying that. Now, when you think about that, you have to look at the project players that are out there within the Lightning Network. And I would say that David Marcus with LightSpark is one of the leaders out there. I've got a clip of him that I want to play for you guys. Listen into what he had to say about this.
You know, we've talked to so many exchanges and wallet operators out there in different platforms. They sit in basically two camps. One camp is we don't have Lightning. And if you talk to them, generally you always had someone in the organization who thought, Lightning is a great idea, we want it. And then they went down the rabbit hole, stood up a node, funded the node, opened channels, tried to mess around with it, and then realized it was a nightmare to manage, and they threw the towel and never implemented. The other half have implemented, and they have a full-time person rebalancing channel all day long if they have a lot of transactions. That's a pain. Their transaction success rate is not all that high, especially for transactions that are $40, $50+ dollars. It gets really in the way of mass adoption, and then that gets in the way of more liquidity being deployed in the network.
All right, so one of the things he said there is, and I think this is the framework that you have to be aware of. That video was actually before his tweet that we showed last week around this very topic, where he was talking about how difficult it is to build on Lightning, etc., some of the things and the challenges that they were facing. He was kind of setting that up with that precursor video right there. So it is showing a lot of, I think, a bit of dissent in the Lightning Network developers. This is a concern, obviously, as a whole. Now, why are we seeing that? I think that's the narrative that we need to continue to investigate and really understand, because this is going to be a big issue as we continue to flow out of this bear market, whether you can think about a recession or other things that are going to be happening. Once we start to see positive movement in the markets, you want to be in the right place at the right time for your investments to really climb. And the question is where is that? So we're going to continue to cover that for you guys, break it down and give you guys a full rundown as we continue to do some deep dive research. If you're not part of our Diamond Circle, make sure and jump in right now. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is click the link down below. We, of course, do a podcast over there. We do a lot of additional content and research. I do some analysis over there. And I also do some additional early release podcasts over there that goes to our mastermind group and to our Diamond Circle members first. So great thing to do, and just click the link down there to join. If you want to catch me, it is out there on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.